frequency of 52 megacycles by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. A test program follows. To you who have been trained technically, I need hardly say that there's still a number of problems to solve. I guess you know them as well as anybody knows them. But I think we've proceeded far enough to justify the statement, at least, that these technical problems are not insurmountable.
Meeting button.
All right, so finally at last we were talking about the adaptive match here. If you believe the SAS breakdown, then this could be definitely a very interesting and match with a lot riding on it. So we have a couple of interesting decks, very interesting decks. Again, with disparity on the SAS front, and maybe Sebastian and I will both give you our takes on which deck we would prefer and how many chains we'd be willing to bid on it. But I guess I'll turn to you once again, Seb. What's your initial impressions just from looking at these two decks?
Yeah, I think again the gut looks like the scribe just seems like it's going to be a favorite, or at least it would be the deck that I would pick just from looking at the two at first glance that I'd want to bid on. I'm not sure if it's the deck I necessarily would want to play, but I think that I would be also interested maybe to give this deck to my opponent with chains. I think that Meister is a very interesting deck, and I think that I like that has lots of artifacts with Carlo Phantom, which could be a very interesting way to steal a lot of amber off your opponent. I think it has 9 artifacts in it,
Mm-hmm.
which can get you a lot of steals off Carlo. Interesting things also would be like Brothers in Battle with Dodger, or just even Brothers in Battle in general kind of changes that fight dynamic for you, especially with the double war chest. So you could really want to just take Brobnar turns, fight a bunch of creatures off the board, and gain 6 amber. Seems like a good proposition to me. The things that you're going to have to watch out for, though, are going to be like the Tributin Pompidus or the Senator Shrix. You know, those classic Worlds Collide dinos that are just really problematic if you left unchecked. Um, and yeah, I think also the one interesting thing will be looking at when the timings come from the stealth modes. The stealth mode could really hurt Meister if you're trying to set up a bait and switch, or if you're trying to miasma to push them to a little extra amber so you can try to get a turn ahead of them to stop them from forging. Stop the Coward's End. There could be the stealth mode could be very instrumental for hurting Meister. So wanting to slow them down to hopefully help your opponent draw that stealth mode at an untimely point would be great. Poltergeist is going to be an interesting card in this matchup as well. There's lots of juicy artifacts in Meister,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to take the Gauntlet of Command or the War Chest or even the special delivery off them to get rid of an important creature in Meister could be something you're going to have to watch out for.
Yep, absolutely. The stealth modes do look very strong. You've got only a handful of ways to take somebody off check without actions. I mean, if you have the Carlo Phantom, you can drop an artifact to take someone off check. You can also go with the Marauder. Other than that, unless I'm missing something, I don't see a great way to interact with your opponent's amber without using your artifacts, or without using your actions, excuse me. So I think I'm in agreement with you that I would prefer to bid on the scribe. I'm not 100% sure yet how many chains I would want to bid, but it does feel like there are a lot of tools in the scribe for handling what Meister has. And gosh,
One thing I think is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Justin.
I was just going to say that the two custom offices, I usually love to see them. I don't think they're great, but I love to see them. But in this
Yeah,
particular matchup, don't see them doing a whole lot.
It feels bad, but I love Custom Office. I think it's a fantastic card, and in multiples, it's very strong, so, especially if your opponent's running an artifact-based deck. So things like Quetzal Stone or whatnot, you can really just punish them for it. The Yeah, but in this matchup, I just don't know how much it's really going to get you. I mean, I guess you could stop them from playing the what artifact do they have in here?
They have the Uncharted Lands.
Uncharted Lands. Oh, maybe I could do something, but probably all not that much. Um, but yeah, I think the Carlo is mainly going to be a creature that they're going to want to try to kill, which I'm not sure they have any targeted remove. Now that I'm looking at the scribe, other than trying to fight it down, I'm not sure how they kill it. Hmm. That could be interesting. So something like Yomama Mastery, if you can tuck it behind the Earthshaker
Hmm.
or another big creature like the Zorg, perhaps like you could that Carlo might be able to live a few extra turns or longer than you would expect it to live and get you some extra steals.
Yeah, I think I'd be looking. I mean, your creature count in the scribe is a bit higher than what you've got in Meister. So it'd be interesting to see how good the red alerts end up being. Um, but I'd almost want one of those red alerts to be taking out Carlo if I'm not able to fight it down. Uh,
Oh, yes, sorry. How did I miss that? The double
mhm.
red alerts. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
if you're playing Meister, you want to make sure, especially if Carlo's out, that you are not ahead on creature count, because that could be that can definitely kill off some of the important cards you're going to rely on.
yep.
Um,
I have to refresh myself here. So good of the many kills creatures that don't share a trait with another creature in
yep.
the battle line. Okay, so that's something to be mindful of as well. I think you have lots of overlap, a lot of elf thieves.
Yeah, they have the Umbra, Dodger,
Hmm.
and I think Dodger's an Elf Thief. Yeah, and then
All elf
Carlo.
thieves. Yep.
Yep. So
So Carlo's good as long as you have another shadows creature around, which is pretty cool. The scribe is definitely capable of fighting in, especially with that Saurian board. You have some scary dinos and a lot of warding going around.
a lot of wardings, and the Scudum is going to be. Although the Scudum could be a trap because he does have sample collections. So if you're counting on building up a big Tribune or a big Stenopius,
Mhm.
sample collection could just give your opponent all that amber if you think you're safe behind the Scudum.
Yep. Yeah, sample collection is tough because it can be just terrible early on, but it is going to be a kind of a counter to Scudam in the late game. Unfortunately,
Yep.
Meister doesn't have any archiving to be able to tuck it away. I don't know if I'd chain myself for it. I guess it kind of depends on how the match was going, but that
No,
could be an interesting swing.
you just gotta pray for those TCO gods to give it to you late game.
That's right. Carlo on top,
That's right.
sample collection on the bottom. Um, but it's cool. It's going to reset some of those dinos. You might have to swing in to break a ward, but if you can break a Strix, if you can break a Pompatus or a Scudum creature, that could be really cool.
In Scribe, what are you looking at to exhume? Maybe Kirby, Tabor? Are we looking at mostly for dinos and star lines, I'm guessing. Maybe the Infernus if it's in the discard.
Hmm.
Um but probably I guess probably get some extra efficiency with Star Alliance.
Yeah, I think I'd be looking at the Kirby, the Infernus. Those would be my first two off the top of my head here. I can see a
Yeah.
world where something like Strix or Pompatus uh, is a decent target. But I'd almost want to say that Kirby and Infernus are my top choices, and after that, it's just going to be kind of whatever I can get max value from in the scenario. Um,
Yes. If you're playing Meister, do you play the Nerve Blast, the Ammonia Cloud? Maybe the Ammonia Clouds, but the Nerve Blast seems suspicious, especially because I feel like you want that Coward's End to really do some work for you later in the game. But it doesn't feel like the Nerve Blast or the Ammonia Clouds can really kill a bunch of these creatures. Like operations officer is going to survive. All of your dinos will likely survive those cards, and if you're just sprinkling damage on them, you're really turning off the potency of your Coward's End.
mhm. That's a good question. I can see it. I could see it breaking wards if you need to break wards. but it is a good point that you're going to be hampering your Coward's End unless you're sprinkling damage on your own. So I could see a world where you're putting some damage on your own creatures and then breaking wards on the other side, and that working out pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
All right, so we've rambled a little bit. I think we've hit on all the major points between these two, or at least if we've missed any. I don't know if I
All
would
right.
think about it when bidding. So what
Yeah,
do
so
you? Yeah,
that's exciting. That's the game we got to play here now. So I guess are we both in agreement that we would pick Scribe?
I would pick Scribe. Yep.
Yeah, because I feel like I wouldn't want to pick Meister and then play that straight up. At least that's my initial expectation. That even if I want to play Meister, I would want to pick Scribe in the expectation that my opponent's going to pick Scribe, and then try to give it to him with chains. And then, oh, I think that part of me feels that like the equilibrium is somewhere between 3 and 6, maybe 4 or 5 chains, perhaps. Feels like a nice equilibrium point. Um, it's really hard to tell without playing Scribe and getting a feel for how fast it can run, or just how potent stealth mode is in the matchup.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing to think about is forging the alliance. That's practically a key charge, right? Because you can have one card at every house out,
Hmm.
so you get the max effect out of forging alliance. That could be a very viable cheat sheet matchup.
Could be. Yeah, it's going to be another situational one when you don't really have any archiving to tuck it away for the right moment. But it definitely could be. I think I'd be willing to go a little higher. I'd probably go up to 9. I don't know if I'd go much more than 9. But this is kind of an interesting. This is sort of an interesting format where we're actually giving numbers as though we were playing a real adaptive short match, whereas these two teams have potentially had the opportunity to test them out as much as they want beforehand. So I'd hope to see some interesting bidding.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
cool.
I agree. I hope to see that. I'm very curious to see what Scribe gets sold for.
Or if somebody surprises us and goes with Meister, that would be fun.
I mean, if you look at the record for Meister, the pilot does pretty well with it. So Lazaro might just want to pick it if
Yeah.
Lazaro is the pilot for this.
Yep. Indeed, that they are. So good luck. Good luck to the both of you. Very curious to see how the match plays out.
Good luck.
There you go. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, so both players decided to keep their own decks. So, 79 versus 64, it's an interesting setup.
Very. I mean, I'm certain there was going to be some bidding for Scribe, but hey.
I think Lazaro just didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of playing the deck. As the Sloppy Labwork guy said, it comes down to testing, and if during testing so salty realise that this deck is a great counter for it, then you just take the chance of basically going, yeah, you may high roll, but I want to make sure I've got my KOTE Imperial Scum going on the Raptor. Very interesting. I do apologise for the lack of artifacts. The OBS had an update which messed up my overlay system. I am going to try and change it for this week's recordings, but I only noticed when I was editing that the artifacts were not showing on screen. But going from there, so there is Sniffer in play. Plays Buzzle, Exhume onto the Raptor. Discards having to do holds the Inferno is probably a good shot. There's not too many pips. There's no pips in the discard for Lazaro here. Oh, and now the screen's gone.
Sorry, man. Only for you. There you go.
Okay. Exploit Rover. Forging Alliance does come in a bit too early. As the guy said, that this could have been a huge card. Allows the Forge. No actions, making bait and switch, but Raziel is not threatening the key here, so that means that just go Grobnar. Pull it out. Infernus, gonna get rid of those pips. That Lazar. No, gets rid of the soft landing. Interesting. Guess there was no pips and didn't want to go for their own. Threatens the key with the bars in its touch, purging the war chest. But yeah, this is just gonna make quick work of Infernus. And look at this, Lozaro on check for the second key straight away. And now look at this Grobnar hand. It isn't going to make much of a difference to the auxiliary here, which is going to get ward up. Rizal is going to get back up to 5. But gets the second key. Sat on 2 Amber. Plays the war chest. Plays the Gauntlet Command. Reap. Do you fight with the Gangi Chieftain now, or do you just play it for the sake of playing it and then just, yep, pass?
Yeah.
Customs office could be huge here.
Really? I suppose. He's at the point now where...
Well, he hasn't played his Uncharted Launcher, and he hasn't played that much in terms of Star Alliance.
So we've got Vezel here come on to check at least.
Double Malison. Very interesting here. Goes for the double reap. Goes, Malison can't stop me here. What have you got? And the question is, what has Rattle got to exhume here? There's nothing in Archive.
Infernus.
Infernus comes out. So now, Lozao just has to get to play Special Delivery, plays Customs Office, plays the Umbra. And yeah, depending on what Razal Jones here, this Mars hand might have it. The Umbra is allowed to stay in play.
That is a
very
surprise.
dangerous.
But they didn't really have a way of getting rid of it while still being Star Alliance, so...
True, but there was an option to go to Saurian and get rid of it and deal with it. There's Strix could have been beautiful a lot earlier on. Ammonia Clouds comes down, sample collection gonna take away the it'll get rid of the gets rid of the auxiliary. Squawker Reap gets to 7, and we see there is nothing in hand for Razzle here. So salty. 64 versus 79 in straight on Archon, and yeah, so